this game. I'm on board with executive producer of Valorant, Anna Donlin, and also the game director, Joe Ziegler. Anna, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us. I love your house. It reminds me of the video I saw on Twitter just yesterday.
Yeah, I didn't change it much. I just keep changing whether I'm wearing glasses or not. That's the only change we're going to do right now.
Whatever makes you the most comfortable there. Joe, how you doing? Where's your love sign? You don't have a love sign behind you?
You know, it was there before, and I didn't want to look like I was copying Anna, so I removed it.
you guys turned on the cameras for the Skype call, and you're like, oh, one of us has to change. We can't go out like this.
Exactly.
Joe, let's start with you here. Give me a little bit of background. Like, who are you? Where'd you come from? And how'd you end up on the Valorant team?
All right, so I have been at Riot for about 10 years. Before that, I worked at EA, Pandemic, and a couple other companies. Yeah, so how I ended up on the Valorant team is actually there's a small group of us a while back who got together and sort of thought about what kind of game we wanted to make, like in the wake of League of Legends, because we all used to work on League of Legends. And one of our biggest inspirations was these old tactical shooters. And so when we got together, we decided to start brainstorming, thinking about how we could make a team and build a game like this. And I will say, like, over the course of time, you know, the game has become something way bigger than any of us could have imagined. But yeah, that's sort of how I ended up on the Valorant team. Is I was one of the people who was part of that small crew that started.
Man, part of the seminal idea. That's amazing. Anna, what about you? Where'd you come from? How'd you get involved in this crazy circus?
Yeah, so I've been in games for more years than I'm going to say publicly. But I was at Treyarch working on Call of Duty for a good number of years, and then I went over to Riot about 4 years ago, maybe a little bit more. Started out on League, working on a bunch of personalization stuff, skins, events, things like that. But it was really hard to know that Riot was working on a shooter and I wasn't part of it. Shooters in my DNA. So kind of waited my turn to be asked to come over. And as soon as they would let me, I joined the team. And it's been a wild ride so far. By the time I got there, the core game was pretty sick. It was looking really, really good. It was just time to get it to that point where we could put it in front of players. So I've been on it pretty much since it was ready for that, kind of going out of pre-production and into more of a production state.
Yeah, for sure. And we've seen you since the beginning of the public Valorant knowledge. Were you ever expecting to be like the face of a game like this?
Me? No. Like, honestly, I think this is like there's a lot of awesome people at Riot who kind of gave me the confidence, I think, to get to this moment, because I think I always thought I'd be a behind the scenes kind of person. And right now, I think I don't know, this is really exciting. This whole ride has been somewhat exciting. So I kind of like it. I mean, I don't like look at myself as like a person that wants to be out there that much, but just seeing the response from people so far, I think I've kind of signed myself up for it now. So yeah, I think it's good.
Yeah. No, and I know that, like, we as the community of gamers that are looking forward to playing the game you guys have poured your time and energy into have loved the, like, openness and the communication, like the video you put on Twitter yesterday, kind of explaining how things are going to be, explaining that it's a beta and that there's going to be bugs and that's okay. And like hearing developers willing to acknowledge that the game's going to have bugs is like just such a wonderfully refreshing thing. So we really have all appreciated that. And Joe, I want to come back to you. Like you've been here since the beginning. Like, this is one of the first games that made Riot Games earn the S, right? Like, it's for a long time it was just League of Legends, and now there's actually a few games out there. And what was it like knowing this was coming and knowing it was going to shake up the scene like this, but having to keep it a secret for so long?
I mean, I think it's generous that you thought we knew it was going to shake up the scene. Honestly, we were just making a game that we thought was really something that players would really enjoy. I don't think any of us had any particular number of players that we thought we were going to hit. We didn't have a target of like, oh, hey, we're going to hit hundreds of millions of players, or even 100 million, or even 1.5 million views on Twitch. Our goal was really just to make the game that we thought players were going to really enjoy, who really enjoyed shooters. And it's been awesome seeing the response that we've gotten so far, because it's bigger than any of us could have imagined. I'm sure Anna and I were talking about it yesterday, and we were like, wow, that number looks significantly bigger than we even predicted. So yeah, it's been very exciting, you know? In terms of not being able to talk about it, I think actually that's the crux of game development. A lot of times you are working on something really cool. Even when we were working on League, we would know about the characters we were making months before we could actually talk about it with players, and we had great ideas, but we could never actually reveal them. So it's always exciting making something, but then there's that little bit of you that just wants to tell players as much as possible about all the cool stuff you're doing, but it's not ready for that yet.
Yeah, I mean, I can't imagine like as someone who's like works in music too, it's always the feeling of like I want to put this out here, but I also want to wait till it's actually fully done, So I get it a little bit, but man, I can't imagine like for years having to sit on things like that. Okay, so we've talked a bit about like the development process and like what you guys have had, like your experience that's unique from the players. Anna, I want to just to start the things off. For some people, this is going to be their first time really seeing and experiencing Valorant. What's your elevator pitch? Sell me this game. We're in an elevator. We got 5 floors where we get to the bottom. I want to be playing it by the end. Tell me what you got.
5v5 hyper competitive tactical shooter where characters have abilities, but those abilities help your gunplay shine. Is that good?
Ooh, I like that. I like that because
done.
so many. Yeah, Joe, so many people like obviously anytime a game comes out, we compare it to what we know, right? So people are like, oh, it's Counter-Strike meets Overwatch, or it's and it's a League of Legends, it's MOBA meets like Counter-Strike or something like that, right? But from what we've seen, the way the abilities work in this game is dramatically different and more subtle, I feel like, than something like an Overwatch or a MOBA.
Yeah, I think a lot of our focus with abilities and with characters in general was the idea of how do we create tactics and strategies that are new and creative and can constantly build upon sort of the different innovations of gameplay we expect players to discover as they go along. So our goal was never to necessarily be a game or be another type of game. It was to create a game that takes that tactical feel of team play and the tense gameplay and turns it into something that players can constantly evolve their creativity on top of.
Yeah, for sure. And it's pretty it's cool to watch. Like there was a lot of hesitation, I feel like, at first about like how's a character shooter going to work here, and then seeing the people be like, no, this is actually really brilliant and we're excited to play it. And speaking of, the agents are the core of what makes Valorant what it is here. And like through the whole development process, was there any agent you like felt a personal attachment to?
It's changed a bunch as we've gone through development because, we have, our kits were like pretty solid, like from a design perspective for a while. And then we kind of had to wait for art to catch up. And personally, I'm a person like I need the kit to feel good. I need the design of the character to like fit my play style, but I also need something about that character's energy to resonate for me too. So it's kind of been a back and forth. Like I was like a Sova like hardcore one trick like forever. Like if someone else took Sova, I was pissed. Like I was like, no, I need my Sova. But now I'm really excited because we finally released Raze and like she's my girl. So I think now that people can finally start seeing Raze and start playing with her, I think they're gonna be like, I'm personally really excited about her.
And to be fair, actually, Anna was technically a Raze main before Raze was out. Because Raze was a kit before that was very similar to what it is right now.
Yeah,
and she was definitely.
I was raised before. I was raised before Raze was a thing.
It's a hipster claim, but it's true,
That's amazing. Joe, talk to me about Raze, because we're gonna get to see a lot of it hopefully today. But this is the first time this character's in the game.
Yeah, so Raze is obviously a explosive character. A lot of the challenge of Raze is actually based on one of the earliest kits we made for like we prototyped for a character inside of like sort of the scope of Valorant, and the concept behind it is we were challenging ourselves with how do we take a character that's very damagey and sort of very powerful, like in terms of how they actually influence areas, someone who's a bully that can get into areas really effectively, but prevent them from necessarily always being hyper killy. There are some abilities on her that are better at killing than others, but really she's meant to do things like flush and challenge and bully areas to push back front lines a little bit more.
Okay. Well, man, I'm excited to see some Raze gameplay. Now, guys, we're running out of time. We got to get the gameplay started here soon. But the question I am literally have been waiting to ask you guys since the beginning of this. I love the lore of League of Legends, the way that they have built this profound world. And I'm not gonna lie, a little bit disappointed when I found out that this game wasn't set in Runeterra. For Anna, like, was there a pressure or there's so many questions I have about this, but like what was like the thought and the mindset and the decision behind putting this game on Earth?
So, I mean, I'm not going to lie, like we definitely explored Runeterra as an option. Like there's no world where we wouldn't do that. I mean, it's such a kind of robust world that we've done a lot of investing in at Riot for like a really long time. So, I think in a lot of ways in some ways it would have been simpler to go with Runeterra. But Runeterra is and the champions in League of Legends, they are pretty limited. I mean, for this type of genre, and I think Joe can probably speak better to like when that decision point came. But I think there were a lot of challenges getting this type of gameplay to work in with those champions and in that world.
Yeah, I think a lot of it is Runeterra is a magic first world, and in our world for the gameplay that we were creating, we really needed to make a gun first world, and so as we experimented, those two things clashed pretty heavily, and we couldn't really meet. Like we could have made a worse version of Runeterra and tried to fit it into our game, but that would have been terrible for people who love the world like yourself. So we decided making a new world that actually really focused on the idea of how do we make this creative space mixed with the gunplay, mixed with it, and provide that ability for us to design crazier abilities. That was sort of like what we wanted to do.
Well, it makes a lot of sense. I like the idea, like there's the magic and abilities first, but no, we need this to be a gun first game. So that makes a lot of sense. Honestly, with what I've seen Riot do with Runeterra, I can't wait to see what you guys do here with the new world that we've got in Valorant. So guys, man, I really appreciate it. I've got so many more questions, but we've got to get to the gameplay. So I'm going to start with Anna, and then we'll go to Joe. At last words, shout outs, any shout outs you got, or like where can people find you on social media? Anna, the floor is yours.
Huge shout out to the entire Valorant team, everyone around the world who's working on bringing this thing to players. Huge shout out to all the players who are excited to get into the game because this is a moment we've been waiting for a really long time. So tons of appreciation there. You can find me mostly just on Twitter at Riot Supercakes. That's me. Joe, you?
Yeah, I mean, obviously players come first at Riot, and so players to me are, like, thank you very much for being interested in the game, and of course giving us all of the feedback that you're going to give us through playing this closed beta and as we go live. We really think players are our superpower, and their ability to give us information just makes us increase our ability to basically make the game better and better. And of course, the team has done an awesome job. If they're watching, they should be very proud of themselves because the game is coming out and it's super fun to play. We really hope to get it as fast as possible. Lastly, I just have one more, which is really that Riot. I think Riot's been very supportive in sort of getting us out of here because every team in Riot has a lot of things to do. But when we all come together to deliver a thing like this, it requires everybody at Riot to really, really support and make it happen. So thank you to obviously everyone at Riot as well. Yeah, that's what I got.
Awesome, man. Love to hear it there. And thank you guys so much for taking the time to talk to us. I hope you guys will enjoy the gameplay, and we'll get on with the rest of the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
Is Trevor, the lead game designer here, and Sal Garazzo, the senior game designer in charge of maps. Sal, that is quite the collection of credentials you have behind you.
Yes, it is. Sorry, I can't hear you talking right now. But yeah, there's a lot of events I've been to, and my wife as well. So her tags are up there also.
Wow. I want to hear we're going to start off. We're going to go with you, Sal, and then to you, Trevor. I want to just tell me a bit of your background. Where are you from? What sort of gamer are you? How did you come to be on the Valorant development team?
Do you want to take that first, Trevor?
Yeah, sure, I can. So I've always played games all the way, from when I was in elementary school playing Smash Brothers on the couch with my brothers, into playing on PC through StarCraft and Counter-Strike and Diablo. I've always liked to play more competitive online games, and that kind of, made its way up to League of Legends before I started development. And from my time on League of Legends, where I played a lot in the beta and tried to play competitively, that landed me an internship at Riot. And then from there, I worked on League of Legends for a few years on live balance and then champion design. and that led into the initial founding of this project, which is Valorant. And 6 years later, here we are. Pretty exciting day where we get to show all of you the game and watch some really fun matches.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's a crazy story to hear, going from intern to lead designer on a new project here at Riot Games. What about you, Sal?
Yeah, so I've been playing games for basically as long as I can remember, but I've been playing competitive shooters for most of my life at this point. I used to be a professional Counter-Strike player for over a decade. And
Wow.
during that time, I actually picked up level design and I created DE Cash in Counter-Strike. And I was working in a finance job at the time while I was still competing pro. But eventually, I got in touch with Riot and I joined Riot, and I've been on Valorant, ever since then, which is about 5 years ago.
Man, crazy to hear. Like, professional player with a full-time job on the side, designed a game I play regularly when we play Counter-Strike. A huge influence here, obviously, into Valorant. Counter-Strike was. But I want to give you a moment here. I'd love asking this question. Trevor, you and I are in an elevator. We're on the top floor, 10th level. We're going all the way down. You got 20 seconds to sell me on Valorant. What are you saying?
Yeah, so Valorant takes a lot of the fundamentals of tactical gameplay that a lot of us all know and love, and fixes some of the things that have plagued the genre over a long period of time, and then pairs that and combines it, and we hope enhances it with these agents that introduce new levels of creativity and expression within the tactical gameplay space. So you have these crazy concepts like one of the agents who can teleport across the map with their ultimate. And that's probably something you never have really dealt with in a tactical game. So we think that injects some new creativity that we hope is really fun for everyone who plays.
Yeah, for sure. No, creativity is huge. Obviously, like is a huge new element to the tactical shooter genre, where for so often it was like, no, just single operator. It's about your loadout, but now you're adding this like new layer of abilities and stuff. And Sal, like, you come from a hardcore professional Counter-Strike background here. Like, obviously Counter-Strike's a huge influence when it comes to designing the game, and you have experience designing games outside of Valorant. But what other influences came into Valorant to kind of bring, we have character shooters all over the place. Was there a specific game? Was there a specific show or book or something? Like, where did the influences for Valorant come from?
So I would say they come from a lot of different places. We have a very diverse team. So we're playing all sorts of different games, watching all sorts of different media. So basically any shooter, most of us have probably played, we play everything basically. And then games like League of Legends also, the way characters and abilities work in that game, that's also a huge source of inspiration for us, and like trying to figure out how to get some of that creativity into Valorant with like outplays and all of those types of things.
Yeah, League had a lot of great lessons for us around counterplay and just general gameplay mechanics that create deep interaction. Applying some of those learnings and that into the tactical FPS space was one of a great opportunity of learning we had, and an inspiration for us when we thought about injecting agents into the game, and then also abilities in the space.
Yeah, for sure. Well, and Trevor, you come from the League of Legends background, and for a long time, kind of the joke was that Riot Games only has one game, right? And even the games that they made, the first games that came out, like TFT and Runeterra, were still set in the League of Legends universe, and they still were kind of able to piggyback off the success of League of Legends to some degree. What was it like getting to realizing that there was the moment where you realized you were making the first new IP from Riot Games in over a decade?
Yeah, I mean, I think when we initially set out, the challenge was not as monumental as we had thought. But for us, we felt like in this type of game, the tone we were going for, the way the game plays and the gameplay, a new IP made sense. We thought like Cho'Gath with an AK was one of the jokes. Like, that'd be a pretty weird thing. So yeah, I mean, we had to do a lot of building of fundamental frameworks that we utilized and learnings to really understand what a new IP at Riot would look like. And it took a lot of time in building a team of many talented people to really develop it and find something that matched our gameplay and enhanced the experience and didn't detract from it. 'It. It was very challenging, but I think it totally paid off.
How much? This is a question for either of you. I feel like when I watched the first trailer back in the like League 10 announcement, where they kind of packed the little gameplay of like Runeterra and like the mobile games, and then also Project A at the time, as it was called. You saw it all at the same time, and it looked like we saw Talon ulting, right? But we've learned now that that's Jet, and there's a few other characters where it seems like there's, while it's obviously a separate IP, there's influence, you know? It's like there's like homages, little tributes. Is that something that was a conscious decision at Riot?
Not really. Honestly, I think a lot of those were coincidences, or maybe we just, whether it's subconscious, we had inspirations from our past, but ultimately it was never intentional to make something to be a transition from the League universe into ours. Our IP, we want it to stand on its own, and we're focusing on building content specifically for the Valorant IP right now.
Well, and it's an amazing IP with some wonderfully relatable characters that I barely know anything about them yet, and I still already am excited to learn more about them. And Sal, I want to come to you here. Like, coming from Counter-Strike, where the characters are very kind of just innocuous. They're a sleeve that you put a gun on, to play. Like, you're coming into this place where these characters now have personalities and voice lines, and they're from somewhere. Like, was there a specific character that you gained an attachment through the development process?
That's a tough question. I mean, we've been working on this for a while, so it's only recent until these characters really started getting a lot of this personality and a lot of the artwork finally in place. And so lately I've been playing a lot of Phoenix. Just something about his playstyle has really been great for me in a lot of our play tests and the games we play, because I could just play super aggressive, peek corners with him. So yeah, Phoenix has probably been the one that I've been sinking the most time into playing right now.
That's awesome. Trevor, who's your favorite agent right now?
For me, usually my go-to in an average situation is Brimstone. I'm usually not the best shooter in the server on average, so just being in more of the back lines, helping do shot calls and setting up smokes for the team, and giving them utility when they're moving in is somewhere I feel like I can contribute in a meaningful way, and Brimstone's great at that for me. So he's been my go-to.
Yeah. No, it's been amazing to watch what people have been able to do. I mean, Sal, has there been any moment throughout this Twitch Rivals, or through just kind of watching people play the beta, where you've seen somebody do something with an agent and you're like, oh, we didn't even think of that. That wasn't something we expected people to be able to do with Jet, for instance, or maybe anybody else?
Off the top of my head, I can't think of anything off the top of my head. Like I said, we've been playing this for quite a while, but we're pretty confident that in a few more days, people are going to just be doing tons of things that we haven't accounted for or seen yet.
Yeah, no doubt.
No, it's pretty crazy what people are able to do, especially once you start to put like different agent combinations together, and like, is there like Jet plus a Sage Wall maybe that we could reach somewhere. I'm super excited what people are able to do. But hey guys, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us here. We're going to start with Sal and go to Trevor. Just final words, thoughts, shout outs, anything you want to say. Sal, the floor is yours.
I'm just super excited to see everybody engaging with the game and having so much fun with it. Like I mentioned, we've been working on this for a while, so this day feels pretty surreal to all of us, I think. A year or two ago, we couldn't have imagined something like this. So yeah, just super excited, and we're going to keep watching the streams and playing with everybody in game. So yeah, just looking forward to some more Valorant.
Yeah, the reception so far, echoing Sal's points, it's been really exciting. It's been a long time coming for us, building this game through all these years. We're really ecstatic that we can show it today and let all of you into what we've been doing. And we hope as you're watching, you get keys and you all get to play as well. And we just hope you're all having fun and continue to let us know how you feel about the game. We're always looking at feedback, and it's for now we're really enjoying the day, and we're very thankful to everyone who's been playing and what we've been hearing about the game.
1.5 million people watching the Valorant directory right now here on Twitch. Trevor and Sal, thank you so much for taking the time to talk to us, and we'll see you in Valorant.